Hi there, it's Jennifer and welcome to my Flagstaff home. As you guys probably know from watching my videos, I am a gardener and I love planning and thinking about and preparing and all of this for my summer vegetable gardens. It's one of the things I look forward to all year long. It's fun for me to get out there and check on my garden every day and see its progress. Well, sometimes you can work so hard on your garden and then something happens that just messes everything up. And this summer things have been going really well. I have not gotten like fungus on plants or anything like that, which sometimes I do during our rainy season. But anyway, everything was going really well until I noticed that my tomatoes were getting blossom end rot. If you don't know what blossom end rot is, oh my gosh, it's just all of a sudden you have these beautiful tomatoes and all of a sudden the bottom of the tomato where the blossom is, so with the little, like there's a blossom, a little flower on your tomato plant, and then on some of those flowers you'll get a little tomato bud that starts growing, and so on the end of that, once the tomato gets bigger, you get a brown patch that starts, and once you have that brown patch, it's just done. That tomato is just a goner. So let me, before I go on with this, let me just put in a little clip here to show you a few of the tomatoes and show you the blossom end rot. So these look like three perfectly great green tomatoes that would be growing nicely out on the vine, and yet if you look on the underside of each one, you can see that it's turned brown. This one's really, really brown. If you look at that. And it'll just overtake the whole tomato, so you might as well just pull it off the vine if you see it, because you're not going to be able to salvage it. Blossom end rot is caused when there is a lack of calcium in the soil, or your plants have a lack of an ability to absorb calcium from the soil. So if you're planting your tomatoes in pots and the pots tend to dry out completely between waterings, then they can't absorb the calcium that's in the soil, and that's one thing that causes it. But if your soil is low in calcium, then that is another thing that can cause blossom end rot. If you have low pH, then there will be a lower amount of calcium in your soil. And so I found something, and I think I have found a solution. I think that this has worked out. So what I found was that what you're supposed to do is amend your soil with lime. And this is a package of garden lime that I got from Home Depot. But this particular kind is by a company called Espoma, E-S-P-O-M-A, Espoma Organic Garden Lime, and this says turns hydrangeas pink. It says it raises the soil pH, and it's an all-natural and pelletized, as in pellets, safer than hydrated lime. So what you do with this, this is dry, and it is in pellets, and what you do is you take a bucket and you put in 2 handfuls of this garden lime in a gallon, for every gallon of water. So I had a 5-gallon bucket and I filled it, I filled just a couple of gallons at a time so I could actually lift the thing. And just for every gallon, I put a couple of handfuls, and then you stick your hand in there, or if you have a big stick or something, and you just swirl it around and try to get it to dissolve as much as possible. I found that it didn't dissolve completely, but you want to get it so that the water gets kind of gray and murky, and that most of it has dissolved in there. And you use a couple of gallons on each plant. So I filled this thing 8 times and put in a couple handfuls per gallon, and then dumped it on each plant that I had. And then some of the stuff that didn't dissolve of this was in the bottom and kind of went out onto the soil, which was fine, because then in the days after that, when I was watering, I kind of went over that area of the soil where the sludge from this was on the surface, so that it would continue to go deeper. And so what I had read online was that when you do this, that it will help the plants to absorb more calcium, and it should stop your other tomatoes from getting blossom end rot. So it has been about 5 days since I applied this, and I have not found a single tomato with blossom end rot on it. So I am hoping, it seems like it has done the trick to keep me from losing the rest of my tomatoes. I'm hoping that I won't find any more, but seeing as how I was finding some every day and I have not found any in the last 5 days, I think that it has helped to do the trick. I also saw on a video on YouTube, there was a guy who, he grows all of his tomatoes in pots, but you could do this with tomatoes in a bed as well, is that he halfway through the summer, he just puts this on. Whether his tomatoes look like they're getting a blossom end rot or not, he just puts it on and makes sure that there's enough calcium in the soil. So make sure, if you have never had blossom end rot, yay, good for you. Hopefully you'll never ever have it. But if you're worried that at some point you might get it, you might want to just make a note of what this kind of formula is for the quick fix for getting rid of it. So hopefully this was helpful for you. If there's something that you do to prevent blossom end rot, I'd love to hear about it, because I was seriously clueless until I started digging around online. So if you have some suggestions, please list those in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope you will follow me more on my Flagstaff home. If you're not currently subscribed, just hit that button right there, and YouTube will let you know when I upload new videos, which is a couple times, 1 or 2 times a week on this channel. So anyway, I hope you'll come along with me. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.